Welcome back to Curriculum Mapping with G Suite. This is part 4 in a short mini-series on building your very own add-on for Google Docs that collects the text tools that you are using in your unit planner. So I suggest watching the previous 3 videos before watching this one. In part 3, we looked at importing the Google form that was collecting the tech tools into the file cabinet view, and we then passed that information onto the Autocrat import tab, and we looked at how to use AppScript to build pre-filled URLs. So in this video we're actually going to be passing the data from the Autocrat sheet into the Files tab. So here we go. So the first step is to simply note that we are going to be collecting the pre-filled URL, the edit tech URL, the published URL, and the published tech tools. And we're going to put them into the file cabinet view. And the way we do that is through an array formula VLOOKUP. So for example, in cell Q3, here's the formula that we're looking at. And essentially, we are relying on this range here, B3 to B, which is the document ID of the file cabinet view. So we're looking down here, and we're going to reference that document ID over in the Autocrat sheet, which is right here, and this is in column A. And what we're going to do is bring back the corresponding column number. So in this case, it's column 9. And if we look closely at the import tab, here's column 1. If we go over 9 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are now at the pre-filled URL. So this data in column Q is the pre-filled URL based on the document ID. That same concept applies for the edit URL, the published URL, and the tech tools. Now you may be wondering, but wait a minute, I see a tech tools over in column I. And that's true, there is the tech tools in column I and the tech tools in column T. The only difference between these two is that this one will populate first, right? So column I only picks up new data overnight when it is refreshed, whereas column T is instantaneous. So the minute a form is submitted, this data appears. So essentially, you get kind of an anticipated view of what will appear in the document's metadata. And this is actually the field that I'm showing in my awesome table view as opposed to the actual metadata view, because it gives you results much faster. So in addition to building in the array formulas into the Google Sheet, we have to remember that this is something that clears every night and refreshes. So that means we need to revisit the Google Apps script associated with the file cabinet sidebar. And the function that sets the formulas is this update function. Now what you want to do is be sure at the tail end of this function you add the formulas you just added to your Google Sheet. So in this case, the last 4, and we can kind of see them right up here. So here's the last one. So 4, 3, 2, 1. So these last 4 formulas are the ones I've recently added to set themselves overnight when this update function runs. So if you look a little further down the script, you can see here that these formulas are passed on to this range K3 through T. So in other words, if we look at the sheet, we know that K3 all the way to T, formulas are to be populated in here upon finishing the listing of the files. So that's the last step in refreshing the files, is that These formulas will be set across that row within that range, and then the rest of the data automatically follows by setting those formulas. So again, in this code.gs, remember, is the manual refresh. So in order for this to happen in the automated one overnight, we also need to add those formulas here in the batch process file. The last thing we should look at doing is in the code.gs file, we should update the headers and then the second row that auto-populates. So right around line 51, we see we get all these headers: title, ID, URL, image. These correspond to row 1, and then of course we have row 2. So since we've added new columns, we want to be sure that we add the prefilled URL, edit URL, published URL, and tech tools columns to the app script as well. And if you're using awesome tables, be sure to add the appropriate filters as well. And in this case, it's just the no filter and hidden. So these aren't really used in the awesome table, so we just kind of hide them, but we're using the data for the add-on that we're building. And then I'm leaving this filter available, but not showing the data. This way I can search through that filter, and it shows up, it'll return results in the awesome table. So that's why this one is set to just being a CSV filter, but hidden essentially from the column isn't showing. Okay, so I think that basically sets the stage. In the next video, we will actually build the add-on. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and you should be able to see the results of all your work at the end of the next video. Thanks for watching.